Hello, everyone. How's everyone doing today? I'm going to give it a minute since we have a minute. Oh, it is 2:59. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Wanda, and I am the host of Salty Coffee Podcast. I started the podcast in 2020. 2020 was a very difficult year. And speaking of 30 reasons why people lie, I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes for people to walk in. But feel free to click on the link. The link is Psych Central, PSYCHCENTRAL.com. And when you get into that website, you can search 30 reasons why people lie. And the reason why I decided to do this topic was mainly because uh, I through 2020 and starting this podcast, I really learned a lot about myself, and I learned a lot about the industry that I work in. And I learned even more about how industries and organizations and nonprofit organizations and even your employers would not tell you the truth when it comes to why you're doing the work that you're doing, why is important for you to pay certain taxes that you pay on a regular basis. So I thought, 30 reasons why people lie. It's not just people, it's industries, is the academia, the enforcement, law enforcements, the government, which the government should have been really the people, right? But as we see it today, government is just a set of people who are running this country. And when I say this country, I mean the United States of America. So I thought it was very important to bring up, as you already know, we talk a lot about the truth on Outside the Box. But when it comes to the reality, we also need to talk about the lies that we've been told from day one. And sometimes we don't even know why people do it. We don't know why our parents lie. We don't know why our bosses, our teachers, and sometimes with this episode and this article, 30 Reasons Why, it was created by a teacher who actually observed and took time off to listen to and really do extensive research on why students, administrators, and the people who ran the educational system lie. And we're going to go through the 30 reasons and go through them extensively. But I think you should all know that Salty Coffee podcast started in 2020. And the purpose of the podcast was to empower and inform people who were losing their jobs during COVID and didn't know what to do. Generally, people will come to me personally at work for questions regarding their CBA, which is their contractual bargaining agreement, in identifying, how their employer was violating their laws or their rights per se when it came to mandation of vaccination, etc., and not having to wear a mask or wearing a mask. So people really looked a lot and did it got to the point where bosses didn't even know. Your supervisor, when you asked them, is this a mandation, is this not a mandation, people were confused in 2020 about what to do with their work. So instead of really telling people the truth of what was really going on, because let's be real, some of these people knew what was going on way before March of 2020 in the United States. A lot of people knew what was going on before that, because I had family in other countries who were asking me, what is your place of employment doing in 2019? So I thought it was, we're running our lives in a regular way and just going on, our daily social construct and partying and more partying and drinking and more smoking and just enjoying ourselves. And then boom, shut down. So why were we told lies? Why do people lie? And I'm going to go through them, and I'm going to go through them extensively. But for me, growing up, one person who now, as a 52-year-old, I believe never lied to me was my mom. My mom never forced me to do any religious groups. She never forced me to do anything. She never forced me to believe in Santa Claus. We didn't celebrate Christmas per se. We did it with intentions. So we celebrated the day because we knew that most of the family within the unit was going to be off from work. So what better time to get together, have some good food, but there was never any talk about Jesus or his birth, or there was never any talk about that. And the reason why most of that happened is because my mom grew up in a country where their traditions and their beliefs was removed, so they had to lie to the government of what they believe. So just so you understand, in the Dominican culture, we still obtain the majority of the Afrocentric culture. And with that being said, what we generally do there is we follow the guidelines of different deities. So, for example, in Dominican Republic, if you're born, and I'm going to give you an example which represents my mom. If you're born February 2nd, which is the day of the Saint of Candelaria, February 2nd represents that saint. Candelaria, however, is a made saint within the Roman Catholic Church, right? But in reality, if you go even behind that and way before that, it's a different deity goddess per se. And so Dominicans had their own thing where they had to hide a lot of the original orishas because they were being told, no, you can no longer follow this. And so, regardless, my mom she never taught me about Santeria. She never taught me about the Orishas. She just basically let me feel what it was that I was feeling at the time. She let me explore different religions. She's like, hey, you want to go to the Pentecostal church? And go ahead, find out what that's all about. You want to be a Jehovah Witness? Go ahead and go find out what that's all about. And this was me at 7, 8, 9, 10 years old. At the end of the day, I felt that my mom never, to this day, has lied to me about anything. So here we are in 2022. And there are a lot of people walking around, disappointing their children, disappointing their family, disappointing their significant others, and just because they feel that the need to lie. And we're going to go over the 30 reasons. Before I go into that, I want to say that tomorrow we're going to have the Outside the Box talk with Icon and Salty Coffee every Sunday at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And we're just going to go over 2022. We're just going to have an open talk. and we really haven't like sat down and talk about what we're going to talk about tomorrow, but it should be fun. So for those of you who celebrate Kwanzaa, happy Kuumba. Today is the day of creativity, and if you follow me on Instagram, I've set the days of what each day it is, the 7 principles of Kwanzaa, and today is the 6th day, tomorrow is the 7th day, and it's not something that, when it comes to Kwanzaa, is not something that you'll find stuff about. It's not a real holiday. It's not supposed to be a holiday. It's not supposed to be a religious thing. It's not supposed to be a culture. It's not supposed, it's, that's not, the 7 principles is really just a set of, um, if you will, like a set of guidelines for people to continuously throughout the year learn how to build communities and learn how to encourage each other to do their purpose, to create economic wealth within the communities that they live in, to be creative and learn how to use your creativity, not to engage in the capitalism of today's world. For example, the reason why a lot of African Americans don't are not aware of Kwanzaa is because you're not going to see Kwanzaa stuff all over the place, because it's basic and simple. It's about the harvest, it's about people coming together, family people coming together, and you embrace the 7 principles and you talk amongst each other of what you're going to do within the year, not just for those 7 days and not just for that day, and not to create these New Year goals that you never fulfill anyway, but to really engage in building communities that are going to inspire, to motivate, to encourage, and to really unite. The first day of Kwanzaa, which is December 26th, is unity. And I think a lot of us try so hard to unite and we can't, and for whatever reason we can't. And like, in the words of Mr. Icon, it's a social construct, it's a negative side, and we need to look at the positive side, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, when we've been lied to for so many years, and we continuously have experience where we've been lied to, it becomes a little harder. It becomes a little harder for some of us, not all of us. But with that said, let's start with number one. Hi, hey. Okay, so this is a new thing for Salty Coffee. I'm trying not to look to see who's in the room, because this way I can get my thoughts, together and I don't get distracted. But hello, Icon. Thank you so much for being here. Black Casper, thank you so much for being Queen of Wands. Hello, how are you? And I hope you're having a great day today and a prosperous day as usual. And tonight, I think Twixie Baby is going to have a talk of Kwanzaa here. Um, but yeah, just so you know, it's not, the Kwanzaa was not created to capitalize out of it. It was just 7 principles. And you're going to hear and you're going to find negative articles about the creator of Kwanzaa. You're going to find a lot of things that are negative about it. So people all over the world celebrate Kwanzaa. More so outside of the USA than in the USA, which is interesting in itself, right? And that's because the two major holidays in the United States, of course, is Christmas and Hanukkah. And that should say a lot to a lot of people as to why those are the major two holidays that are celebrated, where federally we have days off, or it's shut down. Banks are shut down and hospitals are shut down, but educational uh, organizations are shut down. But so this professor, Rebecca, her name is Rebecca, she was a middle school English teacher, And she previously worked in a local public school but was frustrated by the number of daily lies her students would say. And do you remember ever telling a lie to your teacher or your parent? I remember for myself, I don't know what it was. I don't know if I wanted to get caught. I don't know if I wanted to, I don't know what it was. But I had stolen a watch from a family, and it was because it was available, it was there, and I just took it. And hey, I didn't think the people who I had stolen it from would ever notice, because it seemed like they live a good life. I never thought I was poor. And it wasn't necessary for my mother to tell me that I was, I guess, because I still had a roof over my head. I still was fed, and I have clothing, and I lived in a household that was not so much dysfunctional at all. So why would I think I'm poor? So I sold the watch, and my mother was told, "Hey, uh, I think your daughter took this watch." And she asked me over and over again, "Did you take the watch?" And I was so headstrong, like, "No, I did not." She's like, "Give me the watch, show me where it's at, and you're gonna feel better by telling the truth." I was like, "Nope, I'm not gonna do it." I didn't take the watch. I was so like a true lawyer. I did not do it. And well, they already had found the watch anyway. I don't even know why I thought I was gonna get it. But I think I was like 6 years old at that time. And when I tell you, when my mother put my hand in the burner with the fire burning to tell me, if you ever tell a lie in your life, this is what's gonna happen to you. You're gonna get burned. And this is nothing, is what she said. This is nothing. And when you grow up and you really tell a lie, it's just gonna burn worse. The burn is going to be deep down in your heart. It's going to be deep down in your brain. You're going to live with it, and you may never come out of it. So I always said to myself, one, I will never steal, because I just don't think, I want to feel that burn. And two, there will be no reason for me to do that, right? So why do we still, either is omitting a truth a lie, or a lie is omitting it being a lie, is omitting something being a lie? Is what is a lie? So for those of you who are listening, Queen of Wands and Black Casper, thank you so much again for being here. And for those of you who are coming in on the replay on Anchor, Spotify, Google Podcasts, or on our website, thank you so much. What do you think? What was the first lie that you remember as a child? Or when do you remember your child ever lied to you? And I think it's really interesting, because I don't want to talk too much about it, but my oldest daughter will tell me stories about, quote unquote, her friend. And I looked at her like, "Oh, okay, that's where you want to go? You want to talk about your friend? Fine." I mean, in my heart, I knew she was talking about herself in some way, but I always felt like I wanted to be like my mom, where my kids will never have to lie to me, you know, about anything. And I was even today, I'm very open with conversations with my children, and they'll ask me questions about, the relationship between their father and myself, or, growing up, how was it? Because they did not get to witness um, their grandmother, my mother. Um, so 30 reasons why people lie. The first one, it says, is defensive. And they say that it's the most common reason for lying, to self-protect. Now, I believe self-protect is, if you have to lie to save your life, or to perceive to that one person that you're defending yourself. I mean, I think that's very important. Defensive. So it says here on the article, the most common reason for lying is self-protect. defensive, and there might be a real consequence or perceived one that a person is trying to defend themselves against. And I think a lot of times we may do that. We may tell a lie because, it's gonna probably save someone's life or our own life. Did he do it? Did he kill this other person? Or did he still? Where is the money? Where is this? You have to tell a lie. But that's a different consequence.
Hey, happy Saturday. What's up, Saudi Coffee? How you doing? This is Black Casper, man. I'm out here in Arkansas. We headed to
Arkansas.
Texas, Houston, Texas. Uh, just stopping through, showing some love and support, man, like I do.
Thank
Hope
you.
you're doing okay today. Saudi Coffee. Queens of Wines and Icon. I see y'all down there. How you? Happy Saturday. Beautiful king, queen, and king. But hey, yeah, I told lies. I mean, for us, it was a single mother, and it was six of us, four boys, two girls. So
Mm.
things used to be broke in the house. There's a lie about it. We used to lie on each other. I used to steal food stamps. Back in those days, they had to book food stamps, and I used to lie about it. And breaking my mom's room just to get it. Because I had a addiction of junk food, candy, and all that stuff back in the day. So
Ooh.
yeah, man, and I realized it would hurt me, but I'm gonna come back in.
Yeah. I don't remember. See, that's the thing. Like in my household, everything was out in the open. There was nothing locked, including my mother's room. But I can imagine in a household with six kids, ouch, especially boys. My household was just my mom and my sister and myself, and that's it. And everything was open. We didn't have, again, I didn't know I was poor until I grew up and realized that I was poor because we didn't have a TV, and I'm talking about 70s and 80s. We didn't have a television. We never went to McDonald's or a restaurant, which is not a bad thing now that I think about it. And we just had the basic needs: breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and that's it. So I wasn't really having to take anything away from my mom because I always I grew up in a household where, you know, I was told whatever you need is more important than what you want. And but I could not even imagine a household of six kids, especially with boys. So I can only say that it could have been different in in my household if there was boys. I don't know. The second one, so that's defensive. The second one is vindictive. Some people lie intentionally to cause harm to others because they feel harmed by that person. It is a way of getting back at another person. And that could be, like teenage years, I think. We do that with our friends, like, yeah, I slept with your boyfriend, or yeah, I took your boyfriend. And it's not true. Um, just to be vindictive of whatever reason, of jealousy or something. But I can also see that in a divorce situation as well.
Yeah, at that young age, it was just attention for me, because there was
Attention.
six of us, four boys, two girls. So I was the third oldest. So I was looking for, the father wasn't around. So pretty much we run the streets and do all the kind of stuff. So, I had to lie about, my mom used to give us chores to do at the house before she went to work. And,
Hmm.
and we used to just do, we used to not do it correctly, but we'd do it halfway and lie about it. Stuff get broken, lie about it. Um, I mean, that's what I knew because my dad. It was like because my dad used to lie to my mom, so it's like I was becoming him, and I realized I becoming you becoming your own parents, your mom or your dad. You got both sides, one or the other. So I realized I was starting to become those. So I had to change my whole perception and move away from it and understand where I was going wrong. But yeah, good conversation. Started coffee. I'll have a wonderful Saturday. I'm listening.
Thank you so much, Black Casper, for sharing that. I mean, I want me personally. Um, in my household where we had, no father presence, but I had my grandfather. So my grandfather was able to kind of like give me a sense of what men were supposed to behave like and what they should, what a woman should look at when they see a man. But my mom never spoke bad about my father, even though as an adult now, I quite understand what that was, that dynamic. Because my father did have a lot of children, unwed, from a lot of different women. So that's a culture that I'm trying to get away from. Um, and I guess a lot of first generation Dominicans here in the United States would like to get away from. They do not want to get into, and that's not every family household, that experiences that. But I will say this, where there was a full marriage, right, within the household unit, the Dominican father will have an extended family. That's more common than just a regular family household.
Yeah, in Philadelphia from the city, it's a little different when you're born in the suburbs or the states, Texas, where I'm living at now. It's a little more, you got more exposed to a lot more. But in the city, you're in the hood. So you going around the
Hmm.
neighborhood and doing whatever, playing basketball, doing little things what kids do, you know?
Right.
And, you know, I used to lie to my brother. We used to wear each other's clothes. I used to lie about it, right in front of
Hmm.
his face. Like, how you gonna lie? You got my socks on. Oh, how you gonna lie? You got my pants on.
Not the socks.
I used to wear his pants, or I couldn't fit my brother's pants, but my socks, his socks, and stuff like that. I used to wear because I got lazy. Didn't want to wash mine, so I still my brother's. And he used to get into arguments and fight about it. He even sucker punched me in front of my first love at 17. But
Wow.
yeah, it's deep. I mean, it's crazy though. But Black Hesper.
Yeah, so that would be vindictive. Some people lie intentionally to cause harm, or I mean, I don't know if that would be in this case where you were. So yeah, I did grow up with a older sister. She's 5 years older than myself, and I do remember one time, I don't know if it was her getting mad at me because I just wore something that belonged to her, but it wasn't like I lied. Like she saw me with it on. But it was a very, very weird situation because again, I grew up in a household where it was open and giving, we shared everything. We shared the sofa, the TV, that we got later on as adults. We had to share the phone, so most of the time I don't really recall ever being told, or asked, did you take something? Because, everything was collectively, it didn't belong to everything that was out in the open belonged to everyone for the use. So I can only imagine. And I'm wondering, Black Casper, if that's one of the things that we're so self-protective when we grow up in a household full of siblings. Because I had friends who had more than two, three, four, five siblings, and I always wondered, like, how does that work? Like, how do you? And then I'm thinking to myself, man, that must be so much fun. And then again, I'm thinking, well, I don't know. Would that be so much fun? Unless you're like collectively doing something together as a group where you all have the common likes and stuff like that. But that would be very interesting to see that household. And I'm wondering if you were thinking of ever, telling your story or writing your story here on stereo, or not so much on comments.
But I realized as I got older that lies catch up with you. As time goes on.
Hmm.
I mean, you're only fooling yourself when you're lying to yourself. So that's all you're lying to. because you, even if you're lying to somebody, eventually it's going to come out. The truth is going to come out to somebody, and
Absolutely.
it might run into the wrong person that you didn't want it to get to. But now that I'm at my own age and do my own thing, so now, it's I don't have nothing to lie for. I have no room for lying or anything. So it's about, if you accept me or accept me, except for what I say. You ain't got to deal with it, but you're gonna accept the way I am. I mean, I am who I am. I am what I am, and that's what it is. You either accept it or don't. Move on. But this is the way I am, and I feel comfortable being who I am. I can be better, but I'm New Year 2023. It's gonna be better and better. Day after day, month after month, year after year,
Absolutely.
minute after minute, second, minute, hours. I'm out. Black Casper.
Absolutely. And thank you so much for that. I'm wondering if you ever experience a teacher or a doctor or a person from, let's say, a religious, like, I don't know if you went to church or anything, but like, do you recall ever learning that someone lied to you? Like, you've spoken about the lies that you have done, and I'm sure that, but when was it that you realized that people lie and understood and accepted the lie because you understand that there are reasons why they do it? So we spoke about defensive, we spoke about vindictive, and number three is disappointment. So sometimes, according to this article, we lie. Number three is disappointment. And it says, in order to avoid disappointing another person or even themselves, a lie might be told. The uncomfortable feeling of disappointment justifies the deception. Now that's very powerful because sometimes we um we may do that to not disappoint someone else or to not disappoint ourselves. And I think that's true to an to that's true to a point. Again, it says, in order to avoid disappointing another person. So, would you lie to someone in order to avoid disappointing them? That could be true. Even to themselves. So, could you imagine um, me lying to someone just to make sure that I don't disappoint myself? I don't know about that, but a lie might be told. The uncomfortable feeling of a disappointment justifies the deception. Mm, and that could be very true.
Yeah, my dad used to lie to me. He used to, lie to me, growing up, telling me he's gonna make it to my birthday and never made it. So now I thought it was okay because he used to do it to me, so I have to do it to everybody else. And as I got
Uh,
older, I realized those lies was not going nowhere. I wasn't, people wouldn't trust me, and it became worse and worse as I got older, and some of you had to lie to my family from growing up as a teenager, for certain things just to get where I needed to go. I had to lie about it, and I started realizing that stuff it catches up with you over time as you get older. So it started from my dad when I was younger, when he left when I was 10, and then after at 10 from till I was 17, 18, then I started still lying in my teenage years, still lying in my 20s, but yeah.
yeah, that's very hurtful, when parents do that. And I think the dynamics of the relationship between the parents is 100% of the time, in my opinion, is the reason why the other parent may say or do these lies, just so that they can, you know, not so much. I mean, I know a child will be disappointed when a parent says, I'm going to go to your birthday party, I'm going to go to your event, I'm going to be there. And that's very hurtful. Um, so my encouragement today is that if you're a parent, and you're not physically with your child, do not lie to them and tell them you're going to be there when you're no you're not. And if you tell them that you're going to be there, make it a point to let them know if you're going to miss it and tell them why. I think that's so important, and I think it releases a lot of the BS in our minds as a child, because we always want to think that it's not our fault. You know, as children, we want to strongly believe that the breakup or the divorce or the reason why, like, there's no reason to do that. It's 2022. At this point, there's really no reason to lie to your children about anything. So, number four is to manipulate. So, manipulate. People will lie to manipulate. And it says sometimes a lie is done because the person feels intimidated by others. Again, this feeling is inferiority is so uncomfortable that they lie to cover it up. I'm sorry. Um, that's not what it said. It said manipulate. That was intimidated, but manipulative. To manipulate. An abused person constantly lies in order to continue their manipulation. If the truth came out, the abused might leave. Okay. So this generally happens in like sort of a domestic violence situation where people lie to manipulate. An abused person constantly lies in order to continue their manipulation. An abusive person constantly lies in order to continue their manipulation. If the truth came out, the abused might leave. So, uh, yeah, a lot of fathers will leave because their truth has been sorted out by the mother, and they will continue to lie to just not have that person leave their life. So that's an example.
Yeah, my dad, he was, I felt disappointed. I felt betrayal, from my own father, back then, and I was mad at the whole world because of him, of his actions. And the world didn't do anything to me, and I had to realize that the world didn't do anything. So from now, from now I'm old enough. Now I just, I go off of, I give everybody their 100%. But then as those, once I meet you or get to know you, and start taking layers and layers off you, as once I start learning more about you, and once I meet you in person, it's a
Right.
totally different ball game when you meet somebody in person compared to talking to them on the phone or something. You can see their expression, their body language. I look at all those different things. So, but yeah, that's my story, my life. I got a whole book of it, of growing up, where I come from, where I came from, and where I'm at now. But I had to crawl before I had to walk. But
Absolutely. And I think and again, thank you so much for being here and sharing your story as usual. Sometimes we walk the stereo streets and we're not even aware of what people have been through. Um, but thank you again, Black Casper, for sharing your stories, your intimate stories, because this is not something that people freely talk about. And I think that's one of the topics that we should be talking about. It's not a negative thing. The reason why I wanted to bring this is to us to reflect on why we do it and why we continue to do it. When I say we as people in general, whether that be our bosses, our teachers, our academic, um, our politicians, why do they do it? And for us, the people who don't do it or may do it unintentionally, um, sometimes We need to look at that again and see why we're doing it. When a lot of times telling the truth can create chaos, can create turmoil, can create war, can create a lot of things that are negative. But today I really wanted to sink into the lies and why we do it so that we understand it from a perspective of um, when we love someone, when we love someone wholeheartedly and we continuously lie to them and tell them certain things that would just protect us, protect us from or protect them from their feelings and their emotions at the time. So, number five is intimidated. Sometimes a lie is done because the person feels intimidated by others. Again, this feeling of inferiority is so uncomfortable that they lie to cover it up. Number six is attention seeking. That happens a lot. That happens almost every day. Number six, attention seeking. And I could tell you why it happens a lot. Attention seeking happens on Instagram, on TikTok, on celebrities. Celebrities constantly lie about a lot of things. And it says, unfortunately, there are people who lie just to get attention of other people. The irony is that most of them don't know what to do with the attention when they get it. Ouch.
But for me, I had to work on, you know, everything that I felt like I went wrong in my life. I had to write it down. Everything I went wrong, the things I did, things I wasn't proud of, and things I was proud of. And I had to weigh everything out in my whole life. All the things I've done, even the corrupt things, even the bad things, the good things. And I wasn't proud of the bad things and the good things. Some good things I still wasn't proud of it. Even they was good, I still wasn't proud of it. I still wasn't happy about it. It was just good. It wasn't, excellent like I wanted. I felt like I can do better. I felt like I wasn't putting my all into it. And life is just like if you don't put your all into it, then you only get out what you put in. So I felt like I
Right.
wasn't giving my all. So, but yeah, it's for me. It's just to change within myself and better myself and others. So once I change myself, then people gonna start seeing that they gonna want to change too for themselves.
Absolutely. And I'm not sure if you have children. Um, I think you have mentioned that you do or that you were married, but I think just to let you know, the only people that can validate your humanity, if you will, is yourself, one, and two is your children. Like parenting wise, the only people who can validate that for sure is your children. So don't feel bad that you validated your father for not being there when you really needed him the most to be a horrible person. That's not. Once you understood the reason why he did what he did, that's the whatever action you took then, that's when you validate yourself of the person that he is or was, at that time. Because a lot, again, we grow up learning that things have to be a certain way, and the tools and the resources were not available for our parents. I'm 52, and they were not available. The only resources and tools that were available was the culture and religion. Whatever their parents did, that's what you do. Whatever their parents did, that's what you do. And it continues going on until we evolve to what it is today, where we cannot at some point we cannot continue based on that, what we now know today of what life should be, which Icon and myself talk about a lot, which is no, like, you should have the freedom to just go out on a tree and get an apple. You shouldn't have to, that shouldn't have to be, there shouldn't have to be a price put in on that apple. There shouldn't have to be a price put in on getting together with someone in holy, what they call holy matrimony. So um attention seeking. Unfortunately, and I'm going to repeat that one again, that's number 6. Unfortunately, there are people who lie just to get attention of other people. The irony is that most of them don't know what to do with the attention when they get it. So, I'm glad, Black Casper, that you learn, if that was the case in your childhood, that you did certain things like stealing the candy in your mother's room, or seeing the stuff to get your mother's attention or to get your father's attention, you know that now as an adult, or somewhere around there, you just didn't know what to do after you got your father's attention. um you know that could be one of them. A lot of kids do lie for attention, and they act and they behave in certain ways for attention. So as parents, we really need to look into that. We really need to look into why our kids may lie to us about a lot of things.
Yeah, I don't mind sharing my story, my life story. That's my past. That's my
Hmm.
old ways, my old devilish ways that I used to have. And so a lot of people that listens, and I done told my story on here before. I'm not proud of what I've done, but at least somebody can relate to that. Maybe they need to know that, hey, Black Casper, he did this, he went through this. God darn, and he's doing this and doing that now. So
Hmm.
that's why I say these things on here, because somebody else that might could be listening, they can relate to it. All of us. I'm open to tell you about my life and where I came from and all this other stuff. I mean, so it was a struggle, just like everybody else on here. Y'all been through some struggles, trust me. Everybody do. But the most important one of it is, do you get through it? You got past it. You still standing. You still going strong. But much love, Saudi Coffee. I'm out of here, Black Casper. I'm very content in my own skin, my own body, my own me. I don't mind at all to tell y'all about my story, my life, where I've been, what I've done. Y'all can already see that if he been a single mother, and pretty much her brother and sister was taking care of us. We was just running the streets, doing whatever we felt it fits. That's what we was doing. We was out of control, and I know that. I realized I was out of control because there was nothing around in the neighborhood to do. Eat Chinese food and smoke weed and chase women, and that's it. That's all I seen. That's all I was doing. Getting in trouble. Luckily it didn't get too serious, but I got out of it just in time before in the 90s, 94. If I was stayed in there, I don't think I would have been talking to y'all right now, or y'all would have never met me. No telling what I would have been. I've been locked up or dead somewhere. But I'm just grateful and grateful every day I wake up. That's the first thing. Wake up. Yeah, I saw the coffee. No, yeah, I don't have any kids. Yeah, no, no, no baby mama drama and all that stuff. Yeah, nah, I didn't get caught up in that. That's another thing. I had to go a different route on the women I was dealing with. It was like crazy. I still was dealing with them, but luckily I didn't have. I had quite a bit of miscarriages from them dealing with stress and all that, but just never. I love kids. I would love to have my own twins, but if it's not meant, if I'm not in the right good position, being a trucker, you can't have kids. It's just like kind of hard, tough, But yeah, I think
Absolutely.
now I'll be ready for kids now because I prepare myself for this. But yeah, no kids. But yeah, that's me. But hey, anyone having kids out there? No, I'm just joking. No, I'm just nah. I can't just have kids with any woman, but she had to be right in the mind and the heart. I'm out. Black Casper, keep it going. Salty coffee. Much love, Saturday. Happy Saturday. I'm out.
Can you imagine? No, and that goes to show you how often we don't really pay attention. I'm sure you know Los Cruz, and Los Cruz has kids, and he functions as a truck driver. So my 2023 suggestion, because I wouldn't say advice, because I'm not a professional to give you advice, but I am experienced to give you an experience advice is that is possible. Don't ever say that because you're a truck driver, that's impossible. And I know you know that. But number seven is curiosity. This is a very childlike behavior that some adults don't grow out of. Instead, they lie just to see what will happen, regardless of the harm it might cause others. Curiosity. How many of you have lied just seriously just to see what happens? As kids, we may often do that just to see how far we can get away with it and then continue doing the deed and then find out like, oh, the consequences once you're caught. Ouch, you know. But number seven is curiosity. This is a very childlike behavior that some adults don't grow out of. Instead, they lie just to see what will happen regardless of the harm it may cause others. Number eight is superior. For those with a larger than life ego, and in order to maintain their superiority, they lie to make themselves look better than others. And in most cases, this will be like your manager or your supervisor or the person who's in charge, or, sure, we put in 100% beef in this burger. And then you find out that the 100% that they put in of beef in that burger is only 0.999%. The other 99 point whatever percentage is all kangaroo meat or some other type of meat. So people will lie for superior uh, to maintain their superiority. Your bosses may also tell you, oh yeah, when you're in the interview process, oh, don't worry about it. You're going to have your time off for lunch. You're going to get paid this amount on these days. And going in after you pass probation and all that, you find out that that's not the case. You're going to find out that no, you're not going to get paid overtime. You don't have any benefits. You don't have any breaks, paid breaks. You don't have any paid lunch hour. Um, yeah. And that will make the lie to make them look better on themselves. And I can tell you from firsthand experience, this particular number eight really resonates with me in my place of employment. Um, at the time when I did apply to work at the place where I work at, I had no idea how important and how essential and how elite it was of a place. But then later on, you find out that it's not as superior or elite as you may have thought it would be, even though it has the illusion of it being that. Oh, I don't know what happened, but that didn't go through. I don't know what happened. Gla Black Casper. I was gonna say glass, black. I don't know why, but I don't know what happened. That one just didn't go through. Maybe it wasn't a message. I don't know. Number nine. Let me just see if I can wait for that one.
Yeah, sometimes I used to lie. I used to lie about when my hands was behind my back. If I get in situations, and I felt vulnerable, like I was in those situations, and it's like I didn't want to be let somebody know who I really was. It's like I had to lie about it because then if I told them the truth, some people don't take the truth well. So I had to find a person, that people doing that during my journey of my life, who to lie to and who not to lie to. What to say, what not to say. Certain things I know how to narrow around different things. And so I realized that in spiritual, I'm spiritual, in the spirit, and I realized that in the human flesh, it's a lies. We corrupt and within ourselves. So I had to get out of that and to my flesh and to my spirit. So, but yeah, it's a day-to-day process for everything. But black.
Yeah, I do know that one of the important things to know, Black Casper, is one of the worst things that we can actually do, not only as we're going through these 30 reasons why people lie, but why do we lie to ourselves? You know, I think overall that's more important as well. We need to think about why we do those. Hello, Spencer James. Icon, thank you for hanging in there. Celeste or Cells? I don't know what the name is, but thank you for coming.
I kind of interpreted number 8 to be like, oh, I have a master's degree when you really just have a GED. That
Oh,
kind of superiority.
okay, so let me read it again. For those superior, for those with a larger than life ego, and in order to maintain this superiority, they lie to make themselves look better than others. What I would say is, and that's very true. Some people will say they have a master's degree when they have a GD, but let's say that they do have a master's degree, but they learn nothing from it. Because just because you have a master's degree, that doesn't mean that you're superior from anyone who doesn't. So that's pretty interesting that you saw that one that like that. I always believe that people have de- who don't have a degree are usually the people who have more common sense and are more in tune with reality. And I would rather be around people like that than people who think that they're superior because they have a degree, if you get what I'm saying.
I was saying I interpreted number 8 to mean more like I have a master's degree when really the person might just have a GED.
Got it. Okay.
Oh, sorry, coffee. My Bluetooth is tripping on me. I'm sorry. I don't know what that message is saying. Man, I'm gonna have to probably
Nothing.
just have to reactivate my Bluetooth.
That's fine, Black Casper. Thank you so much for hanging in there, though. I know you're driving. Did you know that Kansas is in Arkansas? I'm just joking. It's in the word Arkansas. But why can't we say Arkansas? I'm just being silly right now. But number 9 is to avoid. Out of the 30 reasons why people lie, to avoid. Some lies are done to get out of trouble or avoid any consequences. This is especially true with children. Huh. Some lies are done to get out of trouble or avoid any consequences. This is especially true with children. So that would have been what Black Casper had mentioned earlier when he was stealing candy and will lie, or where he would break something in the household and will lie, to avoid, you know, anything with his mom, to avoid a spanking or to avoid um, being scolded or being told he's, you know, not going to have access to something, the TV or whatever it would have been at that time. Number 10, cover. Some people wear a mask and pretend to be something that they are not. To maintain their appearances, they lie to cover up any attempt at revealing the real person. That happens a lot. That happens a lot in social media. That happens a lot in entertainment. That happens a lot in actors, and we see it every day. Like, how do you date an actor when you don't know? They've been skilled and they've taken courses on how to pretend to be someone else. So, how do you know when they're being real or not? That is the question.
Peace and blessings on you, Salty Coffee. That's that queen. Yes, I've been listening to the show for quite some time. Do understand to the degree that I can't understand the basis for the foundation in which you're trying to build in the generalities of it. And I pray that you will continue to explore and expose those particular things that we've learned through the construct on the formulation of lies. I think you're doing a pretty good job at it thus far. So continue the great work. Icon out. Peace.
Thank you. So, Icon earlier today had a talk about the truth, and I just thought it would be a little bit different and something more to me as to why people lie. And not just people in general, institutions, organizations, religious groups, our parents, our family, why do they lie? So, number 10 is cover, which we went over. Some people wear a mask and pretend to be something that they are not. That's one thing that a lot of people do all the time. And I think it's important for us to identify within the lie of why people do that, why people pretend to be something that they're not. And why do you think people do that? I think, again, it goes back to attention. It goes back to manipulate. It goes back to curiosity, just to see how it will work for them. But the number 11, it says control. Sadly, sometimes it all comes down to control. In an effort to control another person's behavior, a lie is told. And that is absolutely true. In parenting, as a child, you're controlled constantly by being told, oh, well, it's snowing out there, so we're not going to go to your, you're not going to go to your best friend's house tonight to do any gaming because it's raining or snowing. And quite frankly, they just don't want to drive to your friend's house because it is raining and snowing. This wasn't because of the weather. But to be honest, control, again, that comes a lot with what we've experienced in our talks on domestic violence, and when we had our talks in dating and technology. People who manipulate will also use lies to control. Um, we live it every day. The social construct in itself to control the people from not being able to move forward and own their own businesses, to be able to not move forward and provide for their families and their communities and their children, to control the lie of the American dream. Like, people from other countries are told, hey, if you come and live in America, we're going to give you the American dream. All you have to do is behave, do as you're told, and you can live that life. And guess what? 100% of the time, those people from other countries who come here, they don't even know it, but they're being controlled. They're controlled by, okay, so yeah, we gave you the open door for capitalism, but now you have to like pay them taxes. Well, you can really get married with somebody, but you'll have to pay us a good amount of money for that. Well, I don't know why your children are not fulfilling your culture and your language, but that's just not what we do in this country. So, yeah, the whole social construct and indoctrination, whether that be in a country, a religious group, or an academic institution, control is what a lot of people lie about. In the financial industry, we constantly talk about how, well, why do people are on welfare and they just being lazy and they, who is telling you that? When there are people in Wall Street and there are politicians who actually lie every day about how the economic system is running in this country. So, control number 11, I'm going to read it again. It says, sadly, sometimes it comes down to control. In an effort to control another person's behavior, a lie is told. We were told that COVID happened, so we were told that we had to take this vaccination in order to continue to move because it was a public health issue. I mean, that's a form of control, right? I'm not saying that was a lie, but I'm just saying it's a form of control. Number 12, procrastinate. Passive aggressively avoiding responsibilities and procrastination. This lie is more subtle in the person, in that the person knows that they should be doing something, but it is intentionally putting it off. Mm, Procrastinate is something that I do a lot on myself. So when I procrastinate with something that I say that I'm going to do, I think I lie to myself to say, hey, I'm just busy. I'm doing a lot of stuff. So I would take accountability today to say that number 12, I'm reflecting immediately on it for me when I say, why do we lie to ourselves? Um, Procrastination is one of them. And again, the definition here, it says passive aggressively avoiding responsibilities is procrastination. This lie is more subtle in that the person knows they should be doing something, but is intentionally putting it off. Yeah, that's a big lie to ourselves a lot of the time. I wouldn't say it's on someone else. Because ultimately, unless you had that control, which is number 11, we really don't have control on why others procrastinate and not doing what they're supposed to be doing. We really don't. They're going to do it or they're not.
Control is a big one. You're right with that. Um, and when they can't control you, they will then tell lies to control
Hmm.
how other people see you. Very sick.
Absolutely. And we see that every day. We see that how on entertainment, Hollywood, we see ourselves in a different light, and then we start believing that. And that's all about control to me. I would not want to be in a situation where my job as a marketing person or a person to uplift entertainment industry, to put other groups of people in a light where, hey, look what you do. This is what all you people do. That's horrible. And that's all about control. That's really, in my opinion, that's all control. So we did number 12, which was procrastinate. Number 13, bored. Wow. How many of you today in 2012, 2022 heard, I'm just bored. I don't know what to do with myself. I'm just bored. And it says here, number 13, bored. Some people like drama in their lives, so they lie to stir it up and watch the reactions of other people. Really? I can see how that's number 13, but out of 30, bored? Hmm. And I guess here in Stereo Ave, that happens a lot. That happens a lot. People will lie to stir up a conversation and just watch the reaction of others. Who in here saw the little clip where the young lady asked the father of her children? It was a video clip where it went viral, and she had, I guess she had like a number of children, right? But a number of those, let's say four. I don't remember exactly, but let's say there was four children. Out of four children, one of them was the father, where she requested him to bring the food, and he brought the McDonald's, but he only brought it for that one child that belongs to him, whatever. And she was at it. She just threw the food back at him, and she's like, no, you're supposed to feed all of the other three. And it was just a chaotic thing, and it turned out that the whole video was a skit, just to see people's reaction. And I think we have to be careful with what we are watching and listening to in social media. And because a lot of people, there are a lot of vulnerable people out there who would have believed this and would immediately react like, this is ridiculous. No, he's supposed to take care of all the other ones. And people really beat her more than they beat him. They were like, what kind of mother are you? You can't feed your own children. And it just created a conversation. And I'm glad that it somehow, the person is using this clip, whether it was real or made up, to show people how controlled we are when it comes to the social construct and in society today in the United States. That immediately we will look at this and have our own opinions, but the majority of them was to put the woman down. Like, it wasn't even about, and the women were beating up the guy. Like, no, you got to feed all four kids. But there was a majority of them saying, well, you shouldn't have those kids out of wedlock, and you should be controlling your baby daddy. Like, it's really horrible to say that number 13 is bored, and how people like drama in their lives, to say that's one of the reasons why people lie. um Me personally, I don't like drama at all. So I would never start something. I actually believe, no, telling the truth may create more drama than telling a lie. But so they lie to stir it up and watch the reactions of other people. That's interesting. Number 14, protect. There are some lies that are done to protect others. In some cases, a lie is told to take on responsibility for things they are not responsible for, in an effort to help someone else. And I think number 14 is essential and imperative to today's world, because we often do a lot of lying to protect others. And I think it's important sometimes for us to understand that we don't need to do that. In many cases, we don't, because there's consequences when we do that. So we have to be very careful when we put ourselves in a situation where we have to lie to protect someone else. Number 15 is a habit. After a period of time and done constantly enough, bad habits can form. This is true for some lies that are said over and over again. And we all know that. We all know that there are people out here who are habitual liars. And that's okay, until they eventually learn their consistent lying is not going to take them anywhere. It hasn't taken them anywhere other than constantly living in a circle of lies. And it's just unnecessary. Number 16, for fun. Some people lie as their form of private entertainment. For them, lying is fun because they like to watch how others respond. And that goes back to number 13, bored. Pretty much is, to me, it's the same thing. Number 17, desire. A person who wants a lie to be the truth has a deep desire to believe their misperception. The desire to lie. Okay, a person who wants a lie to be the truth has a deep desire to believe their misperception. And I think for that is what Celeste was saying earlier about, you lie about having a master's degree, but you ultimately just have a GED. I think people in that scenario, I think it's because they have the desire so much to make it true, because they've learned just even when you have a GED, you've learned something. You took the time to take an effort to get your getting your GED is not easy, first of all. It's quite harder than getting a high school degree, in my opinion. Um, I've seen the GED examination, and it's not um, easy. So if you go through the 4 years of high school, but you get your GED, and then you tell people that you have a master's degree, I think in their own mind is the desire to have it so much so that they lie to themselves that that's what they have. And that's how they feel that what they have. But I'm hoping that if that's the lie that they created for themselves, that that's where they will get at ultimately, which is to get. And when they get that master's degree, they're gonna understand and know, why did I even lie about having this degree when it wasn't even necessary. It just wasn't necessary at all. Number 18, harm. People who want to harm others undecided lie about who they are and what they are doing. This is a common tactic during the abduction of others. And I've never been in a situation where someone will have to lie to me to harm me in that way. But I can see, I think I've been in situations where um, this would have happened to me as a child. So people harm, they will lie to harm. And the reason they do that is, and it says here, people who want to harm others undecided lie about who they are and what they are doing. This is a common tactic during the abduction of others. I could see that. Human trafficking in the United States is very big, and sometimes this will be a very good thing for those predators who, you know, take people at a very young age. They groom them, what we call grooming, and this is what they would do. Number 19, sympathy. Similar to attention seeking, a person is trying to get empathy from others by lying about a past or current event. That is true. I mean, a lot of people do this a lot of times. There was a show on Hulu, and I can't remember the name right now, but do you guys ever heard of a show on Hulu where the mother created this scenario where the daughter was sick and the daughter was never really sick, and then the daughter finds out when she's a teenager and she ends up killing her mom? Like, that to me would be this sympathy thing, where the mother, constantly said that the daughter was sick, so she got free tickets to Disney, she got free gifts all the time, she got a free home, they paid for her house, they paid for, I mean, constantly. And the daughter was found out to never really have been sick. Sympathy. Similar to attention seeking, a person is trying to get empathy from others by lying about their past or current event. And I see that a lot. Number 20, lazy. On occasion, a lie boils down to a person being lazy and not wanting to do the work, so they lie about it. How many of you have been lazy lately? Um, did you do the dishes? Yeah, I did. And then, like Black Casper was saying earlier, his mom would come home and nothing was done. I mean, you didn't do it because you were just being lazy. That's pretty much it. Number 21, indifference. If a point or issue doesn't matter to a person, they might lie about it or not see anything wrong with their deception. Indifference. So again, 30 reasons why people lie. Number 21 is indifference. If a point or issue doesn't matter to a person, they might lie about it and not see anything wrong with their deception. Hmm. I wonder if any of you can give me an example of that one, because I can't think of one right now. Number 22, perception. Some people believe their own lie. Like I have a master's degree, right, Celeste? And I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong, Celeste or Celeste. Is it Celeste? But please let me know when you come back up. Uh, what did I say? Perception. Some people believe their own lie. Their perception of reality is not accurate. So in their eyes, it's not a lie. So if you really think that you have a master's degree, but really you have a GED, well, God darn it. I have a master's degree and you can't misperceive my reality because in their person's reality, they have a master's degree. And I can only use that one as an example right now because it was brought up on here. Perception. Some people believe their own lie. Their perception of reality is not accurate. So in their eyes, it's not a lie. That's just it. Number 23, elevate. A person might want to elevate themselves to another person's level, high morality, strong work ethic, or perfectionistic standards. So they lie to lift themselves up. Okay, I can see that. I can see how someone could lie about themselves, about what they're doing, about what their level of high morality. Usually, I would say people in religious groups would do that. They are high spirited and their belief and their faith and they go through all of this stuff, but once they hang up or they go back home, they're depressed drinking in a bottle.
Yeah, you had it right the first time. It is pronounced Celeste.
Celeste, okay.
And I think it's what, 21 for the indifference. Like if, let's say the kid writes on the wall and you ask them, would you do that at home? And they lie and say, yeah, even though they know they wouldn't do it at home, but they could care less about your wall and, everything like that. So they're indifferent about lying to you about it.
Thank you, Celeste, for confirming how you pronounce your name, Celeste. Usually, I think in, you know why I was confused? Because in Spanish, we say Celeste. Celeste is a very common name in Spanish. So when I didn't see the T in there and so I was not sure. But thank you for confirming and thank you for giving the number 21 in difference about the student, writing on the wall and like, hey, I see your point on that. And that's a good one. Number 24, impress. We do this a lot. A lot of people on here um, would do that a lot. On stereo is what I mean when I say on here. Number 24, impress. As a way of trying to impress others and cause a better impression, a person might lie about who they are, what they have done, or where they are going. And I think that's so important for everyone who's listening on here, or on Anchor, or on YouTube, or on Google Podcasts, or on iPod, the podcast on Apple, because this is where this information will be translated to. Um, yeah, a lot of people on here, you would be surprised. They're very good with their words. They're very good with communication. They're very good with engaging with other people. And when you really get to know them, you're so impressed. And you think, my God, they must have a master's degree. And then you find out they just have a GED. But again, that's not to say that the person with the GED doesn't have the capability of being a professional. And that's not to say that the person who impresses you with what you think that they have um, doesn't really have it. They just have the gift of gab enough to make you believe it. And I think that in itself is talent. But you shouldn't have to lie. And that's the whole point of this talk. Like, why do people lie? And once you find out the lie, was there a good reason for it? And there shouldn't you should that was unnecessary. So when you're trying to impress other people, know that what you don't tell them impresses them more than what you do tell them. So, don't try to impress me that you wrote a book, and then I find out after reading the book that the book was really not a book. It was just a couple of pages of something that you said and you thought, and everyone else has said it and thought it. And that's one of the things that I think for Kwanzaa, um, today's Kwanzaa is Kuumba, which is creativity. Um, it was referred to us to read a book called The Linchpin to Icon and myself. And after, of course, I don't have time to sit and read a book, but I have been listening to the audio. Linchpin by Seth Godin was a book referred to us by Lady Bomber. Lady Bomber is the Google, if you will, of the Stereo app. And she suggested Icon to read this book, and I have been listening to it. And I think in one of the chapters that he was talking about, when it came to people who do these things like impress, I totally lost my train of thought. And that's why I think I should really not look at the screen to see who's coming in and out, because it's very distracting. But again, number 24 is impress. As a way of trying to impress others and cause a better impression, a person might lie about who they are, what they have done, or where they are going. So let me go to 25, because I can't remember that thought that I wanted to bring about that book, which was very important. But if you have access to a library, the book can be found in the library, public library. And if you have access to a public library, 100% of the time after COVID, they now provide the Audible. And the Audible is available on the New York Public Library for this book. So I've been listening to the Audible. And it's called Linchpin, Linchpin, by Seth Godin. Number 24, Impress. We did that one. Number 25, Covet. When a person wants what other when a person wants what other have, they covet the item or person and lie about their jealousy. Hmm. I don't I can't relate to that one, but if anyone can relate to that one, number 25, please let me know. Um I don't ever I don't think I've ever been jealous of anything. You know, I lived my life very simply, so I don't really look at things like that of what other people have. I've always appreciated what I do have, and I always praise when people get what they want. So I don't know, 25 is not for me. 26, minimize. So 30 reasons why people will lie. One of them is number 26, minimize. As a way of reducing the damage, harm, or consequences that might otherwise occur, a person minimizes the truth in their lie. Celeste, tell me, girl. You've been coming up with some good examples. Um, hmm. As a way of reducing the damage. So, let's say you are in a marriage and your significant other has had sexual relationship, let's say, with someone else, and they're now having a child. You want to minimize that lie to reducing the damage, harm, or consequences that might otherwise occur. A person minimizes the truth in their lie. Oh, perfect example. Some people would say, I just had love, I just, you know, fucked her or fucked him. I don't really love them. Um, that's one. Um, I really just didn't have time to do that report, so I just gave you part of it. I don't know. Minimize, but a lot of people do that. A lot of family members minimize. They will say a lie to minimize the consequences. That is the truth. Um, they will minimize even when it's detrimental to one family household. Uh, a family event or something, they would, it wasn't a big deal. Why are you making a big deal out of this? And they will minimize the lie and make up, uh, and will minimize the truth in their lie.
Um, like and if two people plan out and commit a crime and someone dies in the process, um, during like the confession, they'll be like, well, I just gave them a ride, because they know they'll get more jail time if they participated in the whole thing.
Okay. So the lie, what was created in that lie was that you saved yourself, but that other person now goes um and gets the harsher thing, the harsher penalty. Hmm. Okay. Number 27, maximize. We can always go back into it. Maximize. On the opposite end, a person might exaggerate their lie and make things worse than what it really is. And that happens a lot. A lot of people, um, scammers do this a lot with the GoFundMe. They will go out of their way to say that a parent has died or a significant other has died just to scam people. Um, and I'm surprised scamming is not in here, but I guess that would go into all of them really when you scamming. But people have created uh, illegitimate GoFundMe's on on things that are not true. So yeah, they will exaggerate their lie and make things worse than what it really is to get what they want, which will be the manipulative part. But I've seen that a lot. Scammers have done that a lot where in most cases the people that I'm saying are scamming are not even like people who are catfishing or people who are stealing someone else's identity. No, I'm talking about real people who are using their platform themselves to create a lie to get money or to to exaggerate this story to scam people. I've seen that happen, and that's dangerous. Um, so number 27 to me should have been really the way they described it here. That should have been number one as opposed to defense. Number 28, suppress. In an effort to cover up a problem, a person might suppress the truth. This lie is intentional. So, yeah, in an effort to cover up a problem, a person might suppress the truth. So, alcoholics, gamblers, drug addicts, um, a lot of men in the 70s and 80s will lie about their working conditions to their spouse and will not tell them just because that was part of the whole, you know, reason why you marry is to protect and provide. And when you can't provide for your family, you will hold that in and not. And I've known people who will leave their house with a suit every day and a briefcase acting like they were going to work, and they were not. They were looking for work and will do other things to give the illusion that they were, working. But like Celeste has said and mentioned earlier, you know, again, you would go out of your way to say that you have a master's degree when in fact you were just going to classes to go get your GED. Um, and that's a problem to cover up a problem. A person might suppress the truth, but and that's not much of a problem to say that. But the working problem where you have to provide for your family, but you get up every morning or not, and you pretend like you're looking for work or not, that's a problem. That's a big problem.
Well, that would speak to your example earlier about um, the mother, I think it was, you were saying, for the sympathy one, which I think is would be considered an actual sickness, Munchausen or Munchausen by
Mm-hmm.
proxy, where you continuously make your child or spouse sick,
Right.
to garner the sympathy and things like that. But it makes it worse because you're actually hurting someone with your lie.
Right. Good one. I like that. Deny is number 29. Not every person who doesn't want something to exist by denying the reality is lying intentionally. Sometimes this is an unintentional. Okay. And the last one, um, let's go back to 29, deny. Not every person who doesn't want something to exist by denying the reality is lying intentionally. I think this can go into a whole bunch of different talks because a lot of us will do number 29. And I think that's why it's 29 because it's kind of like a soft lie, especially when it comes to ourselves. Sometimes we deny ourselves the reality of what's going on in our lives. So we lie to ourselves constantly, like, okay, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. As long as we pray, as long as we, just hang in there, it's going to be okay. And that's unintentional, like it says here. So I think in reality, it can be detrimental. So for me, it's like don't deny um, and believe your lie to the point where you're not getting things done the way it should. You're not looking and researching and for those resources that are available to get the help. Um, And again, the definition of that one says, not every person who doesn't want something to exist by denying the reality. The reality is that you are an alcoholic. The reality is that you are a gambler. The reality is you are a manipulator. The reality is that you are a liar, and you're hurting other people. But, you know, um, again, it says sometimes this is unintentional. And that is the truth. Sometimes you just do it because, just doing it. But that's number 29. And last but not least is number 30. And that says hide. A person might hide themselves, others, or things and lie about doing so as a way to avoid accountability. This is commonly done in conjunction with addictive behaviors. Again, the alcoholics, the drug addicts, the gamblers, the people who scam other people, the people who manipulate other people. So I think number 30 is number 30 because um, it doesn't really happen so often. And there's, when you avoid accountability on the things that you do, that's on you. And at the end of the day, that's only hurting you. So, and it says that it's commonly done in conjunction with addictive behaviors. And like I said, alcoholic, drinking, smoking, whatever that is. So I think this article, again, can be found on the link here above. You can go through it yourselves. Um, Please feel free to visit our websites, which is www.saltycoffeepodcast.com, and my significant other and lovely the icon, the voice that's always being heard on here, and the voice that's very resistant to lies, but only wants to discuss the truth, which is okay. Um, www.theicon6.com. Those two websites, with Outside the Box, which will be tomorrow, every Sunday at 9 p.m. It doesn't matter if there's a holiday, it doesn't matter what it is. We will be here every Sunday for you all to discuss the social construct, the indoctrination, but in reality, the truth, the lies, and the power that controls that within what we call the United States and globally too. Because there are a lot of people who transitions from one place to another, and we're constantly migrating into other countries, and we now have a passport to visit other countries. So we're not very limited on the information that's being disseminated in other countries and how they function, but we are transitioning to a global economy. So make sure that you stop by tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time to Outside the Box. And if this is your first time, or if this is something where you have not experienced Outside the Box, feel free to just come in or and listen to our previous talks. We had the group operation and group cooperation, which is a very good topic. We had the asylums and healthcare. How did we get here? We had our introduction to Outside the Box. And today we celebrate Kwanzaa and Kumba, which is creativity. So make sure that you become creative in your own ways and showing your talents to the world. Because, oh, here's what I wanted to, and I want to keep it in my head. What Seth Godin said in his book Lynchpin is that even though we know now that we were indoctrinated in a structure where we go to school to get good grades, we get good grades to get into a good college, we get into a good college to get good jobs, and we get good jobs to make other people rich. In reality, all of those things, we want to be the linchpin, and the linchpin is the person who's indispensable. And being indispensable is the person that has the individual talent of creativity. Nothing that is created, which Icon says all the time, is new. Everything that we've experienced in our lifetime right now has already been thought of. So sometimes we need to remove ourselves from social media, from TV, so that we can come and create our own creativity and our own thoughts and our own ideals. And how do we do that? Sometimes we need to just get away from it all. Sometimes we need to live in an environment where not everything is readily accessible. How do you survive out in the wild? How do you grow your own food? How do you create your own creativity? You may have to remove yourself from the regular society to do so. So that's what I wanted to make sure that was the message that I really wanted to get out about that book, The Lynchpin. And again, you can get that in the public library. You can get that in an Audible. And I am so grateful for Lady Bomber for bringing that up. And I don't even think I think she thought it would have been a great idea to give it to Icon, but in actuality, everything that the guy Seth Godin says, the author, is what Icon has been saying for years anyway. So it's just I don't even know why she suggested it to him only, but I am grateful that she did because I'm listening to it and pretty much just as she said that she learned a lot from it, I have learned a lot from it myself. So the linchpin is the person who is indispensable, right? Because that's the work that you want. And who is indispensable? The indispensable person is the person that creates things on their own and doesn't have to be in an industrial revolution type of is literally is your hands-on thing that no one else in the world can do what you do. And that's amazing. And I think that's what the icon is to me. It's like the words that come out of his mouth. I don't think anyone else can do that because it's coming from his personal experience, from his heart, and from his soul.
I would like to also say this in reference to the 30 things that I've heard is I think that's why the conversation about social constructs is so heavily on my mind because I know that as people, we're not perfect. You know, we're human beings and we're prone to errors and mistakes. And the one thing about talking about lies is that you gotta eventually come right back to the point where we're all trying to get our hope, and that's to the truth. And that's why I talk about, all aspects of it. In telling the truth, you're talking about lies, and in talking about lies, you're talking about the truth, because each one of them points you into the direction of the other. So it's not like they're canceling themselves out, but what it's doing is giving the mind an opportunity to know that either way, if you tell the truth, and if you can be consistent in telling the truth, you will expose the lie. I don't think the last part of what I said went through, but if you tell the truth will expose the lie. And if you tell the lie will expose the truth, because the lies have really nothing to stand on. They're baseless. They're part of a construct that is designed to take any situation when it does not fit our needs or our wants or is in line with what we strive for. Then of course those things are going to happen, and it happens more prevalent than some of us really realize. So that's the reason for the outside the box and the different things we talk about the construct. I love talking about truth, even though in that moment I'm exposing the lies at the same time, and being very open on how they affect my own self, and be open and candid about it, because I think that's my way of respecting the truth and giving it the proper response it deserves.
Thank you, Icon, for sharing that part. And of course, we always talk about the truth. Um, but I thought it was very interesting, and I thought it was very human, like especially on a day like today, where we're celebrating the Kumba creativity. Of the 30 reasons why people lie, I think, yes, they all coincide with together, and they all, and I agree with, whenever there's a lie, there's a truth somewhere, right? But I really just wanted to figure out some people and why they do and what their thoughts were, um, when you do lie. Why? A lot of the times we know the truth and we want to live in it, but we still live in a social construct world where most of it, as we all know, is a lie.
Yo, what up, Salty Coffee? Happy New Year's to you. 30 reasons why people lie. I'm interested. I don't lie. I actually got tired of lying, I don't know, a long time ago. But I think people lie because they get away with it. And after they get away with it, it's like,
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to laugh, Rashad. Welcome, Rashad. How are you? I didn't mean to laugh at that one, when you said I don't lie. But the 30 reasons were already spoken about from this article, and you can always come back and listen to the whole thing if you're really interested. But I was about to close it down. Hey, Shonda, how are you? Nice to see you.
And I want to say to Salty Coffee, that's that queen. Come on, baby. There go my niece. I'm over at my sister's house. There go the princess. But yeah, you had a great show, Coffee. How you doing, Naomi?
Good, how you
Hey,
doing?
yes, a great show. Continue to do the work. My significant other, my lovely Salty Coffee, that's that queen. And I'll get back at the broadcast on the back end. And to everybody that's in the audience, though, that came through and those that stayed, salute to each and every one of you and what you brought to the conversation. I wanted to be more of a listener and let the boss do what she does, and that is represent the knowledge and the truth that she has. Peace, y'all. Icon.
Thank you. Enjoy yourself with you and your family. I know we're not together this year, but hopefully we're always together once we're on stereo, right? And this is a stereo family. But I was just closing it, and I am so grateful to have all of you who has stopped by today to listen. I don't generally celebrate holidays, and I'm always working, so I have some time off. So I thought it would be a good idea to do these 30 reasons why people lie. But for those of you who don't know me and you're new, thank you for following me, Celeste. Thank you for, and make sure that you follow everyone who comes in. As you already know me, I am from New York, and I'm beginning to do a lot of things for 2023. But I want to make sure that everyone who comes to my room, that or here on stereo, whether it be outside the box or when I'm doing a solo, that I appreciate you and your time. And I take it very serious when it comes to listening to others. So most of the time when I'm here on stereo, I'm actually doing listening. I don't do a lot of talking because on the back end, what I'm doing for other people is just not something like Celeste. I think I'm gonna do a talk with Celeste because now she has me with this thing of the master's degree, because I can only imagine where that came from. You probably met up with someone who actually said that, and then that wasn't the case. And I think I'm going to use that as an example right now. Many of us are caught up with what's important in life, right? And we get caught up with money, and we get caught up with titles. And I was asked, I've been at the place where I work at for 32 years, and I was asked 15 years ago, "Oh my God, you're just a support staff? I thought you were the director." And I thought that was very interesting for a white woman to tell me that, right, in my face. And I just looked at her and I said, titles don't mean that you don't know the work. Title is just a title, and that's how this country works. Unfortunately, that's what that is, a title. There are a lot of people who, and again, I have to mention this. The book Lynchpin talks about resumes, how you create this elaborate resume, and how you could do this and you can do all this stuff, and when you actually get to the nitty gritty, all you're doing with a master's degree is learning how to work uh, uh, what I would consider, no matter what it is, um, a factory. Literally, what you're learning on your bachelor's degree and your master's degree and your PhD, a PhD can only really get you to a book or a professor, right? Because at that point, you are a doctor in that field, whatever that is. And I think this book was really, it has helped me a lot to understand more about what it is that I do, and how, what was the word? And how essential I am to my position. I'm more essential than the VP in my position right now in my department. They could do without the VP, because the VP, all they do with their masters and their PhD and all this other stuff, right? And their experiences, all they could really do is calculate based on a structure of, this is how our structure is and this is how we want you to run it. However, the essential part is you need a human being at this level to interact with students and interact one on one, because they need that human contact. So when we're going into a labor force of being told, yeah, if you got a degree on finances, if you got a degree and you'll have a job when you graduate, and you don't, that's a lie. So when I initially started this um, 30 reasons why people lie. It wasn't about relationships, and it wasn't about parenting, and it was really about industries that constantly lie to us, and agencies and religious groups, and how this whole thing works. Where we're finally realizing, really, it's a new year based on what calendar? There's another country that doesn't even follow this calendar, the Gregorian calendar. Okay, I'll see you next year, which is another 24 hours. Like, I don't get it. I don't get what people don't get. So, and that's fine. That's fine because, you know, what I do get is that I know somewhere, somehow, my degree was in labor studies and urban studies, meaning I had to know and learn about the work industry, the labor industry, and I had to learn about what does that mean in a city environment, urban environment. And I'm telling you right now, there's not going to be that many jobs out for people. We're being told that we're going to be replaced by robots, because now what we do have is people who are robots. When I go to the library and I ask the young lady at the front desk, can you check for me if you have the Black's Law Dictionary? And she's looking at me like, what? What is that? What? You have that? And I'm looking at her like, you don't know about the Black's Law Dictionary? I didn't know about the Black's. But so don't lie to pretend that you know something that you don't. It's okay to say you don't know. It's absolutely okay. But I think what's important is for us to share and make sure that we're sharing correct information and experiences. I would prefer to share my experience. When someone asks me here, well, what exactly is it that you do? And then I'm like, what do you mean? What is it exactly that I do? I'm a podcaster for now, for here. But my job that really pays the bills, the 9 to 5, that's something different. And I'm learning something different in that position every day. And I keep learning how I've been lied to for 32 years. Whether that be in the union, whether that be in HR, whether that be in a different division, I've been lied to. And there's nothing more hurtful than learning the truth when they didn't have to do it. They never had to do it. And then they're mad because in the 32 years I created an environment for myself in learning what I learned in the 32 years where I can be indispensable to the point where they need me every day, to the point where I'm working holidays because I made it that way. And I want people to pay attention to that. I want people to pay attention to when you seek for work, to pay your bills, to pay for unnecessary things that we want to purchase because we feel that we need it or we just want it. I want you all to pay close attention to why we lie to ourselves for the most part. Why are we lazy? Why are we manipulative? Why are we deceptive? Why are we defensive when people tell us certain things?
Hey, Mrs. Salty Coffee. Shout out to you, man. Shout out to you. I appreciate you being out there. Um, I came in when you are already at reasons number 5, I think 6, and but like some like a good example came on my head, and I'm trying to figure out what reason to place it. Like that's there's a good as that example was why ladies like parents do lie to kids about Santa and fairy tales and all that type of shit. Like what reason would that be? I'm sorry if I'm not clear enough. My English, I'm actually learning. I'm from Cameroon, Africa, by the way. If you can identify the accent, sorry. Hey, happy New Year to you.
Thank you, Spencer. James, I think I understood a little bit of what you asked. I didn't hear exactly where you're from, but you said number five, which was intimidated. Sometimes a lie is done because the person feels intimidated by others. Again, this feeling of inferiority is so uncomfortable that they lie to cover it up. Um, and you said the question, why do mothers lie? I think you said. I can't really speak over um, that topic in particular. I am a mother and my children are adults. But what I would have to say is there's a lot of times where, in the case of, let's say, like Black Casper, where he had mentioned where his father wouldn't show up, um, we as mothers want the best for our children always, no matter what the situation, right? No matter whether the mother is a gambler, alcoholic, or drug addict, whatever that is, when it comes to the mother or any parent, whether that's a father, the mother, I think as parents, we tend to lie to our children because we don't want to disappoint them. We don't want them to believe the truth. um, and there could be more reasons why people do that. I personally, my mom never lied to me. And that's where I started this talk, to let everyone know that first and foremost, the one person who never to this day I feel lied to me was my mother. She told me who my father was. She didn't necessarily say the things that he did, but she told me who my father was. She told me what the situation was from day one. She explained to me why it was the way it was. So I really didn't have any as an adult now looking back, I was like, man, she really like that was a lot for her to do and to take in um as a single parent. That was really a lot, and she didn't have to do the things that she did to make him look uh like she didn't have to lie to say, oh, he's never that's I felt like she really never had to say anything bad about him for me to understand why he was the way he was, if you will.
Sorry, I didn't realize I wasn't like clear enough. I think I said that I found like a good example why people do lie. But I didn't try to figure out what reason to put it. Like a good example was why do parents lie to their kids about Santa Claus, about
Hmm.
two fairies, and I don't know. I'm sorry. I said I'm from Cameroon, Africa, by the way.
Okay.
Yeah.
So the reason why people lie about Santa Claus and people lie about is because that's what they were taught in the social construct of the country that they live in. So again, why aren't we being taught about Kwanzaa? Because we have other people who are in control of this United States of America construct. And this is what we talk about on Outside the Box with Icon and myself. This is what we talk about every day. We're living in a country where we're being indoctrinated to believe certain things. So, why do parents lie about Santa Claus? Because their parents did it and they want to continue the culture. They think it's a culture, they think it's a tradition, and it's okay. No, it's not okay. It's not okay to lie to your children, to say that there's some fat white man with a beard and a red suit coming in through your chimney to give you a gift every night. So make sure you write your list of things to buy or for things for him to get. When you realize that Santa is not real, you become very angry. And then now you're considered the Scrooge, right? There was a film that I saw recently called Violent Night. I loved it. I loved Violent Night. It was one of my best holiday, whatever you want to call it, end of the year movie because it literally was like Santa Claus was pissed off now, like he had to continue doing this, and he just was fed up, But that's entertainment, right? That's entertainment. But the reason why parents still do this in America is because that's just a tradition that someone else created about this man called Saint Nick, which probably was a true story somewhere, somehow, where he gave gifts to people or children. And it just kept going and going and going. And we still, because our parents did it. I mean, my mother didn't do that with me. In the Latin culture, we do what is called the Three Kings, and so we celebrate the birth of Jesus, which is not something that my parents celebrated it, but in the Dominican Republic, that's what they celebrate. And granted, it's a religious holiday, whatever. But I have to respect people who have the ability to understand something to the point where they are consistent with it. And so that becomes part of that family structure, and that's okay. I respect that. You believe what you want to believe. If and I'm going to use this as an example over and over again. If you believe you have a master's degree and you want to behave like you have one even though you don't, that's okay. The what's not okay part is to impress other people by lying, trying or lie to people by trying to impress them that you do. That's the part that I don't like. And as Icon will always say it, Salty, you have proof to show what you've done in your lifetime. You can show in pictures and videos and articles of what you've done for other people. A lot of people have master's degree and have nothing to show for it other than just that they took time off of their day, night, whatever it was, to fulfill a piece of paper, and then they move on and they do nothing with it. What you do with your GED, your high school diploma, whatever it is, what you do after that is what really, really matters in this world today. Is not how you use it to impress other people of how much money you make or the job that you got, and I think, again, I believe that's why Lady Bomber suggested the Lynch Pin book to us, because he explains it in such a way that even though Icon articulates the truth within what he's saying, he's explaining it in the sense of the labor movement and how we're going into a global economy where money is going to be wiped out as far as currency. Um, and it's going to be a global economy where people are no longer needed. Humans will no longer be needed for the type of jobs that are coming through, right? So here you are going to college because that's an industry that's just helping the economy move forward to whatever. But in actuality, and I'm not going to say that you're wasting your time by going to college, because that is absolutely not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be very careful with the degree or the time, the energy that you're going to spend to fulfill the requirements for this master degree or degree in any sense of the word, because you want to be able to be indispensable at the end of the day. And those who are indispensable are the people who have creative minds that no one else can duplicate or replicate what you do, whether that be making shoes, making clothes, making an electronic device that helps other people to live, humans to live. Like those are the jobs that are really going to be out there. Not, um, I don't know, even teachers are going to be indispensable. I mean, even teachers will be um, a job that's not going to be needed anymore because humans can now go on to YouTube or a stereo podcast to learn about life.
I don't know. I kind of disagree with some of what you're saying. Whereas, because never mind.
Celeste, you can't do that to me. Tell me, tell me which part you disagree. And that's fine. Or was it the part about the parent of why we lie to our children? Or is that when you thought about it really hard, you said, never mind? I'm sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but I just think it's, I have no idea which part you were talking about. Sorry. Um, but thank you again, Shonda, Spencer, Icon, and Celeste for stopping by. And don't forget tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, where we will talk outside the box. It's going to be a review of 2022, and we could just have an open talk about it. And please make sure to visit our websites, www.saltycoffeepodcast.com, one word, and www.theicon6.com. And in those pages, you're going to see, I'm from New York, so you're going to see resources from New York. Icon is from Florida, you're going to see resources from Florida. And if you live in a state and you want to learn about resources for your state, what's available to you, because we do live in the United States and everything is pretty much federally, nationally similar. There are some states that have more options of resources than others. But wherever you need to find what you want, as far as free education, how to start your small business, how to get grants, how to learn how to write grants, those type of things I do for free. All you have to do is just email me and set up a time for us to sit down and talk. I don't charge for what I do. So that's the benefit. And that's what I do to give back to the community when it comes to celebrating Kwanzaa on the 7 principles. And I do that throughout the year. The reason why Kwanzaa is a tradition that people are not aware about, because we don't use Kwanzaa as a capitalist thing. And a lot of people who are into the capitalist thing for Christmas and Hanukkah, they're very not liking that part. Because there's really no gifts to buy when you celebrate Kwanzaa. The gift that keeps on giving when you celebrate the tradition of Kwanzaa is to build communities, to be creative in your own thing throughout the year. And it's just the 7 simple principles of what we should be doing on a daily basis within the earth. And like Icon says, within the resources that are available to us for free initially. And that we shouldn't have to pay for water. We shouldn't have to pay for air. We shouldn't have to pay taxes for the most ridiculous things ever. But feel free to contact me. directly on www.saltycoffeepodcast.com. Feel free to follow each other because usually people that come to the outside the box, we all know each other. We're family. And this will be uh, this recording will be forwarded into our anchor where everyone over the world. What do I have? I have Japan. I have Australia, Netherlands, Poland, Argentina, Ecuador, Dominican Republic. Man, I can't think of all the countries. Oh, I'll tell you right now the countries that listen to the Salty Coffee podcast. Uh, do-do-do-do. So we have Dominican Republic, Ecuador, Ireland, United Kingdom, Canada, Italy, Japan, Puerto Rico, Finland, Argentina, Australia, Netherlands, and there's more. I know Ghana for sure, Iran, and there's a whole bunch more. But so your recording and your messages will be listened to in the other countries. So please make sure that you follow each other and that you stop by tomorrow at 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And if you're from a state, and again, if you need any help or any questions that you may have, feel free to follow me. Thank you so much, Shonda, Spencer, and Celeste, for coming over and sharing your thoughts and your questions, whatever you had, and comments. And I'm gonna follow you back, Celeste. And let's see. And I'm gonna follow you, James. So take care, everyone. Have a good time. Mr. Ronaldo, please let your family know that I am safe and sound and I'm trying to clean everything. And this is a tradition that one thing that I do love that our family does that is not a lie. And that is you need to clean your clothes and you need to clean your underwears and you need to have your house clean before the year begins. It just makes you feel better and refreshed and new, and that's pretty much it. That's all it is. But it's a tradition that I love, and I am so grateful for having that in my life because it really, really makes you feel good.
Oh, they can hear. They know that you're live, and yes, I was gonna, you know, they can hear you.
All right, family. I love you all and have a good night. And I'll see you next year. Or, yeah, next year. Au revoir, mon amis. I love you.